Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. I hope everyone is doing great this morning. Happy Friday. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming in, Mama Bees, my moderator. Mama Bees, my moderator, says Grand Rising Sandra P. Chat mods. Thank you so much for coming in, Mama Bees. And we have Committed to the Journey. Welcome, Committed to the Journey. I'm glad to see you this morning. I'm glad you could join a live. Hello, Sandra P. and chat. Thank you so much for coming in during the live. Thank you. Anyone that comes in during the live, I appreciate you. Please come in and click the like button. If you are not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Anyone that is in the chat, just let me know if you can hear me by placing a 1. That will be wonderful. If not, I'm going to just pull up and check it myself. This, of course, is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The lady behind me is Mary Cosby. That's Mary Cosby during the first episode when they went on their trip to, they were somewhere in, I think, Provo, Utah. They were still in Utah, but it was just kind of like an RV trip. And we have another trip upcoming, but this episode is not about that. This episode is season 6, episode 6, Out of Gas. And when you hear what the Out of Gas is, it's going to be kind of funny. Welcome, Sharon Gobble. Sharon Gobble came in. She's speaking to everyone in the chat. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. It is good to see you. I hope you are having a great Friday. I hope everyone's having a great time pre-gaming the weekend. Have great plans this weekend. I don't so much, just a little bit of work, errands, the usual things. I'll try to get a little bit of rest in as well. This has been kind of a busy week. And just let me know if you can hear me. Just put a 1 in the chat. I would appreciate that so much. Thank you. I'm also going to pull it up on YouTube while I'm here to make sure. There's a little different thing going on StreamYard, which I like. Once I get more familiar with it, acclimated to it, I like it. All right. So this lady behind me, as I said, that's Mary Cosby. This is one of the ladies of Salt Lake City. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Season 6, episode 6, Out of Gas. So we're going to start out. Heather asked Angie to... Heather and Angie, we see them in their respective kitchens making coffee. Heather actually is a little bit more like what I would be doing, and her kitchen looks more attainable than Angie's. Anybody who has seen the Real Housewives Swap Edition, you will see how Angie lives. That kitchen is immaculate. Everything is beautiful, but I loved it. And it's just kind of, it's funny how the two of them are friends. They're so different, but they're both two ladies up in the morning making their coffee, getting ready to have their coffee. Heather's putting a bunch of cream. Heather tricked her coffee out. She had whipped cream in there at the top. She was really funny. So by the time she gets on the phone and they're on a FaceTime call, Angie was like, "What are you licking off your lips?" Heather's like, "Oh, that's my cream." So I thought that was really cute. Angie K was sending a text to Mary saying, "Remember what you love about me," because Heather was asking, "How are you and Mary?" If you remember, Mary and Angie K had words at Whitney Rose's event, and it was kind of heated, and Mary ended up storming out and saying, "I'm done with you," and pointing in Angie's face, and Angie said, "Bye, Mary." And they're really close. So this was kind of, nobody wanted to see it. I didn't, and Heather didn't either. So they're going to have a meeting. Angie K is saying, "Mary's very sensitive. We're closer. She's closer now to Mary than she is to many of the other ladies." And who would have thought that? Because we know that the first season or two, Mary was the odd one out, even came back as a friend of for a minute. There was a lot of talk about her husband, her church, a lot of things that Mary kind of took to heart and hasn't forgiven some of the ladies for. And so she holds them at arm's length. I don't blame Mary, because some of these women, when they fight, they can be vicious. And I don't blame Mary for protecting herself against these women, even though they're supposed to be friends. They're all co-workers. They're all supposed to be friends, but Mary's right to be careful of them, in my opinion. Also, let me just put in here, everything that I say is my own opinion. If I happen to share anything, it's covered by the Copyright Act of Section 107, Copyright Act of 1976, where allowance is made for fair use for a purpose such as criticism, commentary, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So I'll run a banner just in case I decide to do that. So Lisa is saying, let's see. Oh, so Angie's saying that Lisa brought out a side of her that she doesn't want anyone else to see. Because remember when they were having that argument? Lisa's another one that stormed out and left early. Lisa Barlow fights with everything in her. If she feels attacked, she throws up all kind of vicious stuff. It's already been established that she digs up information on all of the women. She keeps it in her clip. And when she's ready, she throws it out there and she just sprays everybody with it. I kind of understand that, but I would be really wary of a friend like Lisa Barlow. But I can understand why she does that. Heather's saying, well, Lisa doesn't need to be perfect, but I just want her to acknowledge when she's wrong. I look at Heather, I do like Heather Gay, but sometimes I see Heather as someone who is a little two-faced and she goes back and forth amongst the women. So I worry about that sometime with Heather. It's kind of hard to trust a friend like that. Sharon Gobble, the same. She's saying, I didn't like it when that happened between Mary and Angie, especially because there were so many different fights popping off, and Mary was trying to diffuse the main one that was going on between Angie K and Lisa Barlow. And then it seemed that Angie kind of turned on Lisa, but I can understand how Angie was trying to defend herself. And she even said, I just hate the way everybody kisses Lisa's ring. She gets to say whatever she wants, and we're not expected to defend ourselves. Welcome in one of my moderators. She is also my sister, everyone. This is Mama 59 Works. Good morning, everyone. Like, subscribe, and share with the purple heart. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So now the friends are on the phone. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen with Mary and Angie. And I do want them to make up. So Heather is saying Lisa wasn't there for the trip invite on the Captain Jason super yacht. I'm looking forward to this coming up, y'all. They are going to have a wonderful trip. Captain Jason is one of the below deck. I think it's below deck Mediterranean. And that's also on Bravo or Peacock. I watch those a lot. I want to say Calayan, but I can't remember. And I think I misspelled it, but it's somewhere in the Mediterranean. So we see a scene with Bronwyn and Todd. Bronwyn and Todd are at an ice cream shop, and she says she's getting a sundae, but she saw a kid with sprinkles, so she kind of wants to have sprinkles. I think Bronwyn is so cute, y'all. And then when you see her with Todd, there's kind of a huge age difference. Actually, Bronwyn and Todd, Whitney Rose and her husband, and Mary and Robert Sr., they all have about, maybe, I think the husband's like 14, 15 years older. So when they say that about Mary, oh, Mary married Robert Sr. Robert Sr. had been married to her grandmother, but he was her step-grandfather. Really, there are others in the group with that same sort of dynamic. I don't know if it was growing up in the Mormon church or not, but we see the same thing going on with Bronwyn and Todd. Todd's got his fatherly face on. He's there to talk to Bronwyn, and she said, what do you want? He wants some kind of raspberry cookie swirl. So Todd's being a wild man this morning. She said, I want to drink with a cherry in it. I like to have at least one cherry. And then Bronwyn always goes in left field. You know, I hate when I have one cherry and Todd always eats the cherry. They start talking and Todd just mindlessly eats the cherry off Bronwyn's drink. And she said, we talked about that 30 seconds ago. Bronwyn, just get an extra cherry because he's going to take it. I don't know if he did it on purpose or it was just mindless, but I thought that was pretty funny. And then she asked him how it was seeing his mom and dad in New York. I didn't know his mother and father were New Yorkers. That explains a lot with Todd. Todd's kind of stoic. And when he's done, he's done. So I can understand now why Todd kind of responds the way he does when Bronwyn gets into it with some of the women, particularly Lisa Barlow, because he's been telling her stay away from Lisa. Bronwyn wants to be friends with the whole group, but some of the things Lisa Barlow has done, kind of unforgivable. So Bronwyn she's just fussing about different things that have gone on between her and the ladies. Todd's giving this blank look. I don't like when he does that. Bronwyn is just talking. And we see a confessional. She's in that jeweled dress. It's like a choker, and then the dress is a jewel as well. You know, I think Bronwyn is a fashion plate. She's always in couture or something really fashionable. So Todd he doesn't really want to hear what she's talking about, but he's having his ice cream and listening. Bronwyn in the confessional says, Todd tells me I should stop going to the circus and then being surprised by the clowns. That's how he talks about the women. So Bronwyn's asking Todd, she's saying, can you just suspend your bullshit or she said, excuse me. She said, suspend that, have a suspension of disbelief, because she wanted to tell him about the psychic. She said Whitney Rose had a psychic at the event. So Todd is saying, well, what did he say? She said, he's saying that Muzzy has some more medical situations that we don't know about. And Todd is being sarcastic. He said, is that his medical opinion? And Bronwyn's like, okay, I'm going to get upset. This is not funny. You're making jokes. You're being sarcastic. I want to talk to you, and you're making me feel like what I'm saying doesn't mean anything. So I could see Bronwyn getting upset. So then he starts to really listen. We get a different confessional look, which was kind of strange because we were in that, Bronwyn's in the jewel dress with the choker. Then she's in this pink, the big bird feather looking look. So she had two confessional looks, which usually they're in the same confessional look a long time, but I guess they had to kind of mix and match what Bronwyn was saying. She's saying, I totally understand where Todd is as far as with the women, but he could at least try to listen to me for my sake. So we go to another scene with husband and wife. This time it's Lisa and John. Lisa and John are in their home. They have a beautiful home. I think they're a good looking couple too. Lisa saying, John, can you bring me a suitcase or two? And she said, you remember we went on that trip and I brought 9 suitcases? He's like, how can I forget? So Lisa has always been extra. John says, well, that was overkill. He's laughing about it. So they're going to Catalan, and it's just going to be the women. She says it's only 3 days. She gets in a confessional and says, I welcome this little 3-day trip, even though I'm used to going like 7 to 10 days. So Lisa can't help kind of throwing off on the trip a little bit because it's Heather's. She said, I wish I had control over the guest list. I'm glad she doesn't, because it's a cash trip and we need all of the ladies to come, even Brittany. Brittany's a friend of, and they kind of dig at Brittany a little bit, but I like to see her interact with the ladies. Brittany has given us some of our funniest scenes. We're going to have a heartfelt scene from Brittany this week. So Lisa starts telling John about the psychic. The psychic was talking about their communication problems. John is saying, well, what did he think? And Lisa immediately cuts him off. So she starts saying she doesn't know what the source of the communication problems are. We get Lisa in a confessional. She's in her 10-gallon hat. I think she's so cute when she wears a 10-gallon hat. She says she is in charge of everything. She feels like she's taken for granted sometimes. She's in charge of the children, the house, help taking care of her husband, the businesses. She said, and when she feels overwhelmed, she gets in the car and cries to her dad. She said, I can't talk to John about it. I'm crying to my dad about it. And she's crying in the confessional. So I'm noticing this season, every time we see Lisa Barlow get emotional, it's in a confessional. So she's having this heart-to-heart with her husband, but she's just, kind of straight-faced. She's not crying and being emotional with him. She's doing that in a confessional. And she says she can kind of break down with her dad, but not him. So I don't know what's going on here. I think it has to do with the rumors. There are rumors that Angie K has been talking about, Whitney. Supposedly, allegedly, there might be a man paying for things on a credit card for Lisa Barlow. It's in her name. She's claiming it's a business partner, but they're saying it's personal expenses. So we don't know what's going on with that. But I don't like to see this between John and Lisa. I really don't. So Lisa's back in the confessional with her 10-gallon hat on. She's saying, I know I'm a bulldog, but I told him he needs to treat me like glass. He can shatter me. She's crying again. So she says, we're on different pages. It's frustrating to me. And she says, we've been together a long time. Nothing is perfect. So then we get John and Lisa face to face again. And she's telling him, nothing is perfect. And he said, well, you're perfect. But John's being sarcastic, which doesn't help the situation. But she did cut him off when he started to talk initially. It was very awkward. I hated to see it, but it was awkward. One thing I love about Salt Lake City, Utah, these ladies don't mind laying themselves bare for the audience. They know we're going to talk about it. They know people are going to get online and have their own opinions. They know we'll be on social media, but they still put their home life and their situations out there. They're not really trying to fake the funk like a lot of the other franchises. in my opinion, from what I see from them. And that's why I find them so authentic as a franchise. And I really like that about Salt Lake City. The next scene, we see Mary Cosby. She is driving up in her Range Rover. Mary's not the best driver. She's like driving right up to the curb. Then we see her get out in her little high heel boots and she's just kind of hobbling over the snow. And she's saying, "Oh, this is not safe." She's trying to get up to the house safely. They show her bag. She had a beautiful leather bag that matched her boots. So as Mary comes in, Angie meets her at the door. She said, "I got your favorite drink, but they didn't have the no sugar." Mary looks at the can and says, "This has 7 cups of sugar in it. Don't even drink this for yourself." And she refused it. She gave the can back to Angie. So Mary, I thought that was a little rude. You could have just asked for some water. So Angie K is in a confessional look. She has a pink confessional dress. She said, "Excuse me, y'all, garbage man's coming by, but he should be coming and going really quickly." Angie K is saying, "I feel like I'm in the principal's office, and I know what that feels like because I have been there quite a bit of time when I was in high school." So Mary is there to scold her. I don't really love this from Mary Cosby because they are friends and it's not up to Mary to scold anyone. But I do like how candid the two of them can be with each other. I like their friendship. So Angie has this beautiful spread, y'all. Angie, she lays it out for her friends when they come to her home. If you want to watch, if you want to see Angie's home, look at the Real Housewives swap. It's the first episode. She swaps with a lady from Oregon, and they show the kitchen. They show her whole home. It's gorgeous. Angie has charcuterie boards, meats, cheese, fruit. She's got the drinks, even though Mary can't drink the sugar or whatever it was that she gave to her. She could just give her some water. Angie K starts out, she says, "I'm sorry. I know you were just trying to calm me down." So again, this is why Mary was upset and stormed out of Whitney Rose's. She says, "I know you're just trying to calm me down, but it's hard for me to allow anybody to bully me like I'm on a playground." She's talking about Lisa Barlow because Lisa went off. Remember her cursing. Just Lisa goes crazy when she feels attacked, even if she starts it. So Mary's saying, "You're becoming kind of a mean girl. If I can't get you to calm down and I'm one of your best friends, what am I there for?" So I could understand that. She said, "You were just yelling over me like I didn't even exist." She said, "You're supposed to be my sister, Kay." I don't know if she was saying it like Kay, like Angie Kay, or okay, "You're supposed to be my sister, Kay." And Angie said, "I am your sister." And says, "No, you're not. You better find another one, Kay." So Mary was heated. Mary was pointing her finger and everything. So we get the confessional Mary. She's in that black dress with the jewels on it. And she's saying, "Angie is changing." She said she used to be so sweet and nice and kind, but now we almost see Angie throwing tantrums. And Mary doesn't know what it is about Mary. She says, "I almost don't want to be around it." Mary says, "Angie's starting to be mean." And then we get back in the scene with Mary and Angie. Angie doesn't understand. She said, "I'm just defending myself. You see that you think I started it, but I was just defending myself from Lisa," which was true. Lisa was going off. Yeah, Angie. Saren Gabo, Angie's home is beautiful. It is. I loved it just to look at it. If you didn't see that episode yet, go watch it. Some of it put me to sleep, but I love seeing her home and then seeing the contrast with the wife from Oregon that came there and swapped with her. When Angie went to those people's house, they didn't even have running water. They talk about they living off the grid. But Angie was a really good sport. And so was the lady. But the lady to me was living in luxury compared to living off the grid. So Mary and Angie are talking about what caused this friction between them. Mary was saying she's turning kind of mean. Angie's like, "I don't think I was. I was defending myself, giving an example." Mary said, "Well, you were making fun of when excuse me, y'all, I know it's early. You making fun of when I farted." I'm like, "Oh, Lord." Yes, she said that. So production shows us a scene of when they were all in Angie's home. Whitney Rose was there, Mary, and Mary was like, "Oh, I might have a little bit of gas." And Angie kept joking, "Oh, we're going to let you sit over there. Oh, don't eat this or that if you have gas." And Mary's like, "You kept bringing it up and I was getting kind of embarrassed. And it wasn't actually me. I just said I might have had gas, but it was really your dog." It was funny. Production pan to the dog. The dog, of course, is elaborately groomed. It's a little white dog with one of those little poof hairstyles. And the dog kind of looked up like, "What?" So I don't know if it was Mary or the dog, but Mary has now changed this conversation to, she's upset because Angie was being mean about she might have smelled her poop or whatever. And she's saying, "And you're supposed to be my good friend. I've never even told you whether or not I smell if you pass gas. Angie got ready to laugh, but then she saw how serious Mary was and she didn't laugh. She started proclaiming, I did not have gas. So she said, I eat healthy and it wouldn't smell like that anyway. Angie's still just listening. And Mary saying, I would never make fun of you. So we see Mary's going somewhere else with this, even though she's bringing up something that makes no sense. You did see it. You enjoyed it. Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it? It was pretty good to have that contrast like that. I was telling someone, Elisa Triplett was in here the other day. I thought it was a housewife swapping with a housewife. Anyone who hasn't watched it yet, go and watch it. It's just a regular, everyday person swapping with a real housewife. So that's the way they do it. I don't think Angie was being mean either. If that's your friend, you can kind of joke like that. But Mary was sensitive. She took it to heart. So she's upset. And then but Angie was going to laugh. And when she saw that Mary was upset, she didn't laugh. So we get a confessional with Mary saying, I don't let people in. But when I do, you know that you are my person. I love you. I want the best for you. She said, I don't want to get emotional. Mary starts crying a little bit in her confessional. So she really sees Angie now as one of her good friends. She said, I want you to thrive when I love you. And she just says, when I love you, it's real love. And then if you don't love me back, she said, I can unmemorize you and move on. So I thought that was kind of funny. Mary had her own word, but I knew what she meant. Mary says, you get these kind of friendship maybe once in every 20 years. I know exactly what she means, especially as a woman of a certain age. Let's say you get maybe 40 plus, because maybe the last time I made like friends was probably college. As you get older, you try to bring in new friends, everybody with all their history and then different baggage they might have, different experiences. It's kind of hard to know who to trust. So you trust them a little bit, but if you see something in them that might be like, that's not what I really want, and you decide to kind of move forward without them, I can understand where Mary's coming from. But she and Angie are emotional. They're upset. They don't want to lose this friendship. They feel like it's worth saving. And I do too. So Mary says, when a friend does that to me, I feel like I don't even exist. She's telling Angie this in person now. Angie says, I'm sorry. You do exist. I love you. Come here. And Mary's like, I'm not ready yet. She said, hold my hand. Angie took her hand and held her hand. I love you. And then they actually hugged. I thought that was really a heartfelt scene, to just put that on TV and show that to everybody, how you might fall out, you make up, you're good. I just loved it. Angie says, get over here. So they're hugging. And I believe this friendship is real. I said, I think Mary was scarred about the way the women used to talk about her, especially when Jen Shaw was on here. They would make Mary out to be this weirdo. They were always talking about her church. Most of the women in this group have grown up in the Mormon church. Not me, but a lot of people think about the Mormon church as almost a cult. So I don't think anything is different about Mary's church. Any kind of religion you have, a lot of the churches that had a history of where they didn't allow Black people in them, Black people just had an offshoot of their own religion. Mary's church is that. And then we find out when Lisa was bringing, I think his name was Cameron, rest in peace to him. He was a young man, but he died of cancer. She was bringing him on to tell lies about Mary and the collections that she took up in church and stuff. We find out a lot of that wasn't true. Mary's grandmother started that church, and they have a lot of businesses, which is what makes the money. So I think she was hurt and kind of scarred by these women, especially when she stepped back. But I'm glad that she and Angie made up. So next we get a scene with Heather and Lisa. Lisa is excited. She said, I get to use my passport. I get to go on a super yacht. She meets Heather at a little boutique. She says, well, I have one question, Heather. Am I going to be able to bring glam? Heather's like, no, we can only fit like 8 people on there, which is all of us plus the crew. And you're not going to be able to have glam. No one can have glam. She said, you're going to get Whitney to do sparkles in your hair. Now, Whitney and Lisa are not feeling each other at this time. And just like, no. And then she says, well, you can get Lisa to blow your hair out. And Lisa's like, no, I'm not going to let Angie K. I'm not going to let Angie K blow my hair out. Now, Angie K owns salons. And Heather was like, you wouldn't even trust her with your hair? She said, no, I wouldn't trust her with anything. So remember, they're upset now because of Lisa sending someone to pick up the son's product, Fresh Wolf, and then Angie calling the product like a sea line. It didn't belong in her salon. It was covered in dust. So these ladies will find anything to get into. But right now they are not okay with each other. Lisa's kind of on the outs with almost everybody. Heather kind of still has an in with everybody. She's trying to let them all make up before they get on this yacht together, y'all. That's why I'm looking forward to this trip. This is a trip. So Lisa's saying, I feel like Angie kind of gets high when she attacks me. And Heather was like, I didn't feel that at all. She said, I felt Angie was really upset. She was crying. Lisa said, crying why? Because she was being a mean bee. And she said she wasn't being a mean bee. She felt like she was defending herself. And it was true, she was. She said, and then what about you telling her about this soup man? Soup, like soup. Nobody knew what she was talking about. And when they asked Lisa about it, remember, she said, that's a question for Terrence. Now, Terrence was a psychic. So Lisa is telling Heather, soup man. She said, no, soup man. And I said, what about your soup man? Because she was implying I'm cheating on my husband. So Heather gets in a confessional and said, everybody thought she meant soup man. She didn't clear it up. Now we know she meant suit man. And that kind of clears it up a little bit, but Lisa is just too much. So I thought that was funny that they had a whole episode named that. Everybody was speculating on what it meant. I didn't know what it meant. I thought it was crazy. Sharon's thinking this trip is going to be a mess. It is, and we are here for it. I can't wait for it. So Lisa puts everybody down according to Heather. And Heather says, you should be sorry about just being, Angie thought you were being nasty. And Lisa said, she was being nasty. You know, Lisa always goes, you too, me too. They did it to me too. They did it first. She said, she was being nasty about my kid's brand. I can't remember how it started, but I feel like it was Lisa because it's usually her. She said, it's disgusting to me. So Lisa's starting to get hyped up in these people's store. You see a little lady coming by. She's folding clothes. She's kind of looking wary at them because Lisa also has foul language when she gets upset. So I said, Lisa gets so loud, the poor little sales girl's just looking over nervously, and they're looking at each other like, please don't let this lady start in here. Lisa's saying, I didn't dig at her. I'm tired of her nasty digs. Heather's saying, you just saying something low about her. She's like, oh, no, I'm not saying anything low about her. I'm glad she can go on a boat trip. I know she's never been. And Heather's saying, okay, now that's a dig. That's low. Of course, she has probably been on a yacht before, just like you. So confessional, Heather is saying Lisa just throws things up against the wall to kind of see what sticks. And that is kind of a hard way for grown women to argue, which is true. So Heather wants Lisa to acknowledge that she's wrong. She wants her to acknowledge when she's wrong and that she's wrong. Lisa can't really do it. So, and then Lisa, y'all, in this store, she is in this black. Now, Heather has on jeans and some kind of cute top, and they're just shopping. Lisa's in a black leather short set, and then she has these high leather boots on. She looked cute, but I always feel like she's overdressed trying to be trendy. So when Heather starts getting on her about, you're always getting into it with Angie, and we all need to make up and get along. We've got this trip coming up. Lisa gets upset and puts her shades on, and then she tried to move away from Heather. And Heather did like Angie did Mary. She tried to kind of zone in with her friend again, like, okay, we're just talking. There's no need for you to be upset. But Lisa's already upset and kind of crying. So Heather says, I just can't let you disrespect her. You're saying all these terrible things. Lisa's saying, I'm not saying terrible things. I just defend myself. But she's not really defending herself. She is still saying terrible things about Angie. So Lisa says, I'm just going to stop she's trying to count my money. I'm going to stop trying to count her money. But it wouldn't take me long. And Heather's like, okay, that's a dig. You're kind of saying like she's broke. Angie's not broke. I don't think Lisa's broke either. They're both successful business women. So I don't know where this is coming from. I feel this too, Sharon. Lisa is always over the top. It is exhausting. When you have friends that are like that, sometimes you can bring them back to earth. And if you can't do it and they refuse to allow you to do it, if you're like an even-keeled person, sometimes you have to just cut the cord and let them go. I don't want that to happen to Lisa Barlow because I feel like she needs this group to kind of ground her, but she is a lot. All this arguing with people and digging up stuff on people and the foul language. At one point, she started calling Angie K, who's not even there, see you next Tuesday. And the little sales girl was there trying to fold a sweater. She was just a shaking. I said, this is terrible because there's no argument going on. She's just talking to Heather, but she's kind of reliving what she went through with Angie K. And now she's all upset. So then Heather says, well, a lot of the stuff that went on between us, a lot of the friction, you started. Lisa's like, I didn't start it. I'm defending myself. She did start it. Heather said, well, do you remember when you called me a good time girl? I could have been thrown out of school. Now, remember how strict the Mormons are. Bronwyn got pregnant and did get thrown out of school, Brigham Young. So Heather being a good time girl, I don't really know what they meant by that. I guess they were accusing her of dating different boys in college, maybe sleeping with them. So then we see production gives us a flashback of Lisa saying that to different people, spreading a rumor. Then we see a confessional with Lisa saying, well, I'm glad I could give you your book title. And then we see that Heather did indeed. The first book was Bad Mormon because she had been divorced and all this. The second book was called Good Time Girl. So now they are still kind of speaking loudly. And then, of course, Lisa is doing her language. So she's at the counter, y'all. She pulls out this wad of hundreds. And I can't help but wonder. I said, I wonder if maybe she's not using the blank cards anymore. I don't know if this man did have the card in her name or what it is, but I guess she said, production's not zooming in on me. She had a wad of cash and she was gesturing with these hundreds. So it was kind of funny because I don't carry cash like that, but she did. She starts gesturing with the hundred. She's getting ready to pay for everything. Still calling Angie K a see you next Tuesday. She's got a foul mouth. Heather saying, well, sometimes we all feel bullied a bit by some of the stuff that you say. And Lisa says, I feel like I'm always labeled as the bad friend. I'm sick of being labeled. So she's not hearing anything that Heather's telling her. She said, I feel like Angie K needs to take accountability. Heather says she did. Angie K has apologized. She's meeting with Mary to apologize. I've talked to her. She's sorry about what happened. And then Lisa said, she didn't apologize to me, but they do need to talk. Heather says, you always feel like you want to win, but both of you are losing. If you keep this feud going up, you're both losing. So Lisa's standing there with her wad of hundreds and she pays for her stuff. Next, we go to another scene, y'all, with Brittany and Olivia. Now, Olivia is the youngest daughter of Brittany. She's 19 years old. Brittany is a friend of, but we see Brittany every episode, and she's kind of instrumental to the episodes. She's the one that is off and on with Jared Osmond. Let me see if I can pull her up without too much trouble. Let's see. Okay. Brittany. Oh, so Brittany, you know what? Brittany may not even, she's not. That's okay, because right above me is Whitney Rose. Next to her is Heather. That is Lisa Barlow. Angie K's in the middle. Bronwyn's next to her. Mary Cosby is seated, and then that is Meredith. But Brittany, if you watch the show, you'll know who Brittany is. She's in this on-off again relationship with Jared, and at one point they were engaged. Now they're not engaged, but they're dating. She has promised her daughters that she's going to spend some time away from him and get closer to them. She's supposed to take 30 days. Y'all, she lasted 24 hours. So with this scene, we have Brittany and Olivia. Olivia's a 19-year-old. The psychic even brought up, I see something going on with you and possibly a daughter. Could it be your youngest daughter? And Brittany starts to confide, yeah, it is my youngest daughter. So they're meeting at this coffee shop. Brittany is beautiful, y'all. She's what they call corn-fed. She's tall. She's towering over Brittany. I didn't know Brittany was little. And it was kind of awkward. Brittany said, oh, hi. She was so glad to see her. She said, can I hug you? And Brittany said, yeah. And then Olivia allowed her to hug her. They kind of hug each other. So it was a little awkward. And Olivia had this smile on her face. She's like, hi. So then they sit down. Brittany said, I ordered you some kind of foam or something. She's trying to tell Olivia this story of when you were little, you used to want to drink coffee and you were 4 years old, you had this tantrum. And I ordered you something called a steamer where it doesn't have the caffeine in it. And it was kind of sad. Olivia did not remember it. She said, well, I don't remember. She said, I was 4 years old. So they sit there looking at each other. Y'all, this was hard. And then Olivia started right off. She takes a sip. She said, I want to know if you want to get to know me. Brittany's like, yes, I want to get to know you. And I believe her. She says, I want you to want to know me over someone that you're just dating. So Olivia's into it. Brittany starts looking really guilty. We know this is true because she actually said this to Whitney that she does that. So Whitney smile wipes off her face and she leans in. She starts really listening to her daughter. And then Olivia has all this stuff stored up. She starts bringing memories. She said, I remember the time I came to your house. I had 30-minute break between my two jobs, and I came to your house. She said, Jared pulled up at the same time, and you guys started making out right in front of me. And Brittany's face just fell. Y'all, I was so embarrassed for her. And Olivia said, why did you do that? Brittany said, I don't even know. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. So Brittany's just a pick me, y'all, for men. I can't believe that. So Olivia is saying, that really hurt. I don't know if I can trust you. I want you to want to get to know me, but I've been hurt. I don't know if I can trust you. And Brittany is apologizing. She's saying, I'm sorry. So I feel like Brittany is trifling. I hope she can make this up with Olivia. So Brittany's saying, I don't know why I did that. And Olivia's saying, I don't know why you can't put us before your men. And then we get a confessional with Olivia. I don't think I've seen this before. So she's 19 years old. She's a daughter. She's not a friend of or anything like that. She gets her own confessional. She's beautiful in this. She's got a one-shoulder navy dress on. She says, my mom was everything that you would want in a mom. She came to every game. Anytime there was any type of program at the school, she was at that. She's a classroom mom, all of that. She said, and then she got divorced, remarried someone else at 12. And then all of a sudden it's like she flipped the script and she's not available to them. She was just only there for her new husband. So that was kind of sad to feel like, to know Olivia felt like that. She's saying, so it's hard because I know she can be a loving mother to her kids, but we haven't seen that from her in years. So she gets back into the scene at the coffee shop with Brittany. Brittany's still listening. Olivia's saying, I wanted you to want to get to know me and to be in my life, but you've been away from us so long. She said, and who doesn't want their mother to want to know what's going on in their life? She said, who wants to talk about periods with their dad? And Brittany's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She starts crying. And I feel like Brittany was really sincere. Usually she's silly or she's throwing digs or just being kind of goofy in the scenes. But you could tell that when Olivia was telling her this stuff that she went through starting from 12, she's now 19 and she really needed her mom. And Brittany put this man in front of the daughters and the marriage didn't even work out, y'all. Brittany got divorced again. So now Jared is the third guy she's trying to get married to, bring in their life, because evidently what they have said in the Mormon church, the women are not fulfilled and possibly can't even get into heaven if they don't have a husband. Y'all, I find that drastic. So Brittany's saying, I want to be in your life. I love you. I do want to get to know you as an adult. I want to be in your life. Olivia's saying, I want that too, but I can't risk you prioritizing another man over me. Now, keep in mind, there's another daughter that's 23. That's still young. They still need your mom at 23. And at least Olivia's sitting down with Brittany. The other daughter right now is not even talking to Brittany. So I feel badly for the girls and I feel badly for Brittany as well. And then Brittany's like, I do want to get to know you. I do want things to change between us. And then Olivia is saying, how can I allow you to do that and get close to me when my biggest fear is that you would do that to me again? And we know that Jared is on again, off again. So Brittany is sitting there crying. She is devastated. But my heart was kind of with Olivia. I really felt for her. So I don't know. I don't know what causes her, other than maybe how she grew up in her religion. And she might just be a pick-me at heart. But to put Jared over her 19-year-old daughter to a 23-year-old, they still need their mother. It's terrible. Y'all, this scene was a trip. It was really hard to look at. But I appreciate these two sitting down like this because I'm sure a lot of people do go through this. So Brittany's crying. And then Olivia said, other than the men, I don't know what else caused it. I'm thinking that maybe it's me. Maybe you just don't want me. And Brittany said, I want you. You are my precious baby. She's trying to reach out to Olivia, but Olivia's kind of not having it. They're still sitting face to face, but they're not like hugging or anything. So that was sad. Brittany's crying. She was just saying she's sorry. And Olivia's sitting right there in front of her, but I don't know what's going to happen. I think Brittany's going to have to push Jared Osmond aside. And Whitney has told her that. And Brittany promised that she would, but she hasn't done it yet. So we'll see what happened. I commend them for that meeting. That was a tough scene. So next we get a scene with Heather and Meredith. I don't think Meredith drives too much. She pulls up. Heather was already there on the curb waiting with the coffee. She said, "Look at you. You're doing pretty good." Meredith was like, "Cars have really improved since I last drove." I think she was in a Range Rover. So she gives her the coffee. Meredith said, "It's been a tough 24 hours. I was getting a sore throat. So I grabbed some cold ease. And when I bit into it, I chipped my tooth." So Heather starts laughing. She said, "And then I was walking around my house. I couldn't really see. And I stubbed my toe. And it's killing me." So Meredith, welcome to getting older. You will get an injury and you don't even know what happened to yourself. So Heather's laughing. She said, "And then you come here in these boots?" Because Meredith, of course, is in these high heel, thigh high denim boots. And Meredith is like, "Well, I'm used to wearing high heeled shoes. So these are just comfortable for me to wear it." They talk about the weather. They're talking about lunch. Then they go back to Whitney's garden party. Heather brings up to Meredith about she went shopping with Lisa. Lisa did not admit to anything that's going on as far as the arguments amongst the different ladies. Heather wants Meredith to acknowledge the fact that Lisa did dig up information and try to spread it amongst the group and then amongst other people. Meredith doesn't really want to hold Lisa accountable for that because, as Meredith said, Lisa and I are good right now. Angie K has lied on me over the past couple of years, and I'm not going to take her word over Lisa's. Heather's saying, "I just think you're scared to get into it with Lisa, and you don't want to be feuding with Lisa again because Lisa's so reckless when she's into it with somebody." So Heather's saying, "This is a very recent friendship that I have with Lisa, but I'm starting to see that there is a lot of things with Lisa that she has a problem at different times with every person in the group." I feel like Heather has always want to be friends with what she perceived as the cool girl, which is Lisa Barlow. And now that she's friends with everybody, I don't know, maybe she's pushing Lisa aside. But I mean, Lisa is kind of a risky friend. Yeah, this is what I think too, Sharon. Heather's like the glue between everyone. Everyone, even if they're into it, they can sit and talk or stand and talk or walk and talk with Heather Gay. So I do like her role in the friendship. Good morning, Cece. Welcome in. She's a moderator. Saying hello to myself, everyone else that is in the chat. Thank you so much. So then we get a confessional with Heather saying, "I used to think that Lisa was fearless. Now I realize that she is just a person that she's reckless. She throws things in a bucket and just kind of sprays everybody." I think both things can be true. I think Lisa is fearless, but there is some fear in her too, because the way she fights, I know very few people that fight like that, where she's just throwing out names, talking crazy. What she said about Todd, when she said gout D, I was just shocked by that. So Heather's saying Lisa has a specific move where she digs up dark skeletons and then she holds them until it's time to use them. And if she feels under attack, that's when she uses them. So I found that crazy. So Heather's saying she did the same thing to Meredith. She did the same thing to Whitney. She's done it to Bronwyn. And that she should have evolved by now. She's asking, now they're back in the scene with Meredith. She's saying, "Why should you let Lisa off the hook?" Meredith was like, "I'm not really letting her off the hook." She said she has apologized profusely over the years. Remember, there was a hot mic where I'm not sure if it was a reunion or they were on a trip, what was happening, but production picked up Lisa Barlow in a fury, calling Meredith all kind of garden tools. She has slept with half of New York. Meredith and Seth are both freaks, talking about Brooks, which is the son to Seth and Meredith, just being reckless with her mouth. So she did apologize because, of course, the reunion, production couldn't stop playing it. They just kept playing it. But she did apologize. Heather said, "I feel like she only apologized because she was caught, and then that's when she owned it." Meredith says, "When somebody shows you who they are, deal with them accordingly." I thought she was going to say, "When somebody shows you who they are, believe them," like Maya Angelou, but she put her own little twist. That fits too. She says, "Deal with them accordingly." So Heather says, "We've known Lisa for years. She's really going to admit any wrongdoing unless she is caught." And then she says, Meredith is saying, "Well, I don't have a good track record with Angie K, and so I choose to believe Lisa." And then Meredith says, "Well," she says, "what about Angie had talked about you before? She said you were in a hotel room doing Barbie scissor kicks." So this was some kind of rumor about Heather and some lady. Excuse me, y'all. I know it's early. Scissoring, y'all, all these ladies do is talk about each other and who they might be sleeping with, and then they blame each other or sleeping with each other. This was just crazy. So Heather is adamant that Angie K was no different when she was spreading that rumor. And then production shows the flashback. Angie K did say that about Heather. I think she's in the hotel room doing these scissor kicks, but she was kind of laughing when she said it. I don't find those kind of jokes funny, but I don't know. I don't think she meant it to be anything bad about her. She was just spreading a rumor, which I don't agree with, but I don't see why they should hold Lisa any more accountable than they do Angie. Other than I think Lisa is a little more prone to those rumors than Angie is. So I don't know why Angie K was doing that, but she did talk about Heather before. Now here's where Heather goes too far. To me, she's still trying to twist Meredith's arm to hold something against Lisa, and Meredith has already said, I believe Lisa over Angie K, and I'm not going to get on Lisa about anything she may have said about me or my family because she's already told me she didn't do it. So Heather keeps trying to bring it up. Meredith doesn't want to talk about it anymore. They start talking about the trip. So next we have a scene with Whitney. Whitney's hosting the ladies. Whitney is helping everybody fill out a preference sheet. I like Whitney because Whitney she's excited about it. She's like, this is so cool. On a trip like this, you do your preference sheet. You get to be really bougie. If you don't fill out the sheet, they don't source it, meaning that they get a sheet like, what do you like to eat in the morning? We see scenes of the different ladies. Heather was doing her sheet like, I like coffee. I like to have cream in it, different stuff like that. I like fruit. And they were saying, Mary, what do you want? Mary's like, I didn't fill out the sheet. So Whitney's filling out the sheet. We see a scene of Mary at some type of motel saying, do you have 2003 Dom Perignon? They didn't have it. Mary like bugged her eyes out. So they were like, Mary, if you want all this special stuff, you got to put it down on the preference sheet. So Whitney's filling out the sheet for Mary. So we see Lisa wants, I want dark tanning oil, which is, that's kind of a strange request, but that was all she wanted. Whitney Rose wanted some kind of glitter spray. No, Whitney, this is a yacht. Those people don't want to clean that mess up. So Whitney says, it's really bougie to even feel like you don't have to do a sheet, but they convinced Mary to do a sheet. So Mary says, I want a lot of blueberries. I want parfaits for breakfast, 2003 Dom. Out of coffee or tea, I'll take tea, always tea. So then Angie says, speaking of tea, have you seen the news about Bronwyn? Okay, Angie, everybody was doing okay. So Whitney Rose said, no, I haven't. Mary, have you heard? Mary doesn't know anything. No, what's going on with Bronwyn? So production shows us an article. Bronwyn, evidently there's some type of identity theft accusation, allegedly, and in my opinion, this was an article in their local paper. So production's showing the article. Then we see Todd and Bronwyn in another scene. They are out. I wonder why they don't meet at home at all. They're out somewhere, but they're having drinks. He's having a Coke, and she's having, I got your favorite drink. I don't know what it was. It looked like a martini or something. So in the confessional, we get Bronwyn saying, two things are true. Back when I was in college, I was evicted once I had to leave Brigham Young. I had to find some kind of way to pay the back money. And then I had been accused of fraud maybe about 10 years ago. The case was dismissed. It's later sealed, and I really can't talk about it. So what's Bronwyn is saying, I don't really understand. Because actually starting out maybe first, second, third episode, Bronwyn's talking all this stuff about Lisa, her businesses, Whitney, her businesses. Now Bronwyn's telling us there's two things going on. One is a fraud issue. Something else is identity theft, but it's sealed and we can't talk about it. I don't know if that's going to fly, Bronwyn. So Todd is saying all this legal BS in the press reflects poorly on me. So Brown was saying, I know you have to appear trustworthy and above reproach because of your profession. I don't know what Todd's profession is. I don't know if he is in financial services or if he is in some type of position in the church. I'm not sure. But it seems like the Utah husbands, they've been known to lose positions over different things that the wives get into. Whitney said even Justin lost a position when she was out here swinging on a pole and doing all this other stuff, her tattoos. So I don't know. Something's going on with Todd and Bronwyn. He says, I don't understand while you're dealing with people that would bring up stuff like this, people like Lisa, she's lied on me. He got a thing against Lisa. He said, and also what she did to Gwen. Now, Gwen is Bronwyn's 18-year-old daughter. We remember Lisa befriending Bronwyn's daughter, Gwen, grandparents on the other side, who cut Gwen and Bronwyn off. Their son got Bronwyn pregnant in college. Bronwyn got kicked out of college, raised the baby by herself and with her parents. And the other set of parents had nothing to do with Gwen until she was 18 years old. And then Lisa took it upon herself to make friends with these people. So Todd is still upset about that. Bronwyn says, I feel like, I don't know, Lisa may have spread and perpetrated these rumors, and I'm upset if we were making up. Production shows them meeting and kind of hugging. She says, I'm upset if we are making up and she's doing this. Todd said, I wouldn't pee on Lisa if her brain was on fire. Y'all, that's strong language from Todd. Lisa gonna have a fit when she watches this show back. He says, I wouldn't go on a trip with her. So now he's concerned for Bronwyn. And that on a trip on a small boat with Lisa, I don't know what's going to happen. Sharon says, I hope production is not trying to make Mary the one that's hard to get along with. I hope not either, because Mary will just state her case and then walk away. Lisa is going to dig up information, cuss in the people's face, call them a see you next Tuesday, jump up. Angie even jumps up too. So you're right. I hope they don't do that to Mary, because I don't think she is hard to get along with. So he's saying he doesn't want her to go on the trip. He doesn't understand why she has to be around these women. Now, Todd, you know this is Bronwyn's job, and she's got to be around these women. I don't like when the husbands pretend they don't understand why you got to be around these women. These are co-workers. They don't have to be friends, but they are co-workers. He's still advising her, I wouldn't go on the trip. She said, I got your email. I know how you feel about it. He says a tiger can't change its stripes. I kind of feel like maybe that's true, but I don't see why they can't be cordial. He says, you know what you're getting into. So if you get into the muck with her and the slime and then you get hurt, don't come back crying about it, because I fully expect you and Lisa to fight. So Todd is not being encouraging at all. He said, if you do go and you get into a fight with Lisa, it is on you. So Todd's not playing with Bronwyn. We get a preview of the trip to Canyon. We see Captain Jason with his fine self saying, I'm going to let you ladies get nice and wet and then get you in the water. And then somebody says, oh, the other way around. And they all kind of laugh. We see poor Angie getting seasick. Angie K, I couldn't sail with you, girl. Ugh. Of course, production zooms in and we see her losing her lunch. That was kind of gross. Thank you, CC. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate that from CC, my moderator. Whitney says, we see her on the trip. This is the preview. Every time Lisa's mad at someone, info leaks about that person. It's happened to Angie K. It's happened to me. It's happened to Brian. It's happened to Meredith. So now, Whitney, why are y'all bringing this up on this little yacht? We see Heather accusing Lisa. I think you're the source of the dirt. Lisa is jumping up, yelling, what? You think I'm the source of the dirt? One of the staff comes running out to Captain Jason saying, they are literally killing each other. Of course, they're not literally killing each other, but it's getting ready to get heated. Mama Bees, welcome in. Thank you so much. Mama Bees is one of the moderators. She came in. So Sharon is looking forward to the trip like myself. This episode was pretty good. It was just all this back and forth talk, making up. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 just for the scene with Brittany and her daughter, Olivia. That was so heartfelt and kind of hard to watch, but beautiful. And I'm hoping that they make up. And then I'm looking forward to seeing Lisa on this little yacht with all these women that have all these different issues with her. So y'all, this is going to be good. I can't wait for next week's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10. I have to. Even though nothing much happened, all of the conversations are top tier. Top tier. This is one of my favorite franchises. It really is. I think Potomac's going to be good this season too. Even though we're 3 episodes in, I'm enjoying Potomac. So we have season 6, episode 6, Out of Gas, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I think everybody that came in and joined me during the live review, I appreciate you so much. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead, please hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate that. And everyone, I think my next scheduled is the Braxtons. So if you watch that show, you can join me for the live review or team replay. Thank you so much for coming in as team replay, rewatching the videos. I really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone. And I will see you in the YouTube streets. Thanks, everybody. Sharon Bolt said, Godbolt says, see ya. And then I'll leave CC. She's saying, have a blessed day and weekend to everyone. Sharon gave it an 8. Okay, so 8, I gave it a 10. So we'll grade an average of a 9. It was a really good episode, worth watching. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.